Welcome back to another segment of All-Star AD on the Educational AD Podcast. This is our series where we visit with 10 great women athletic directors who share their views on challenges that all athletic directors face. We'll be right back with today's All-Star AD, but we want to give a shout out to our podcast partners, the Global Community of Women in High School Sports, We Coach, and the Florida Coaches Coalition. You need to check out these three organizations, see how you can become a part of them. And now, don't fast forward. Please stay with us, spend about 3 minutes, and let's listen to our podcast sponsors. Thanks a lot. We want to say thanks to Vital Signs Wall of Fame for their support of the podcast. Bring your school's legacy to life with Vital Signs Wall of Fame. The Wall of Fame is an interactive touchscreen console that highlights your school's top performers, both past and present, in athletics, academics, and the arts. But Wall of Fame is so much more than that. It's an extensive content program that helps you tell more compelling stories that will better engage your audience. Use vitalsignswalloffame.com/Jake to not only check out their products, but also get a 5% discount. That's Vital Signs walloffame.com/Jake. Check them out today. We also want to say thanks to Gipper. Go to Gipper.com and start creating custom content for your school social media channels. You can do it in seconds and you don't need any design training. Use our podcast code ADPOD10 and you'll get 10% off. Start creating custom branded content for your school social media channels. Go to Gipper.com. We also want to thank Snap Mobile. Snap Mobile has an entire suite of platforms designed to help you do your job better. Snap Store allows you to order custom gear. Snap Connect is their family engagement platform. There's many others, including Snap Raise, which is their fundraising platform. We've used Snap Raise with great success, and you can too. And they've helped schools just like yours raise over $700 million. Go to snapraise.com and check out all of their platforms. That's snapraise.com. We also want to say thanks to Sideline Interactive indoor score tables and video boards. We've got a Sideline Interactive score table in our gym, and it's just fantastic. We use it for home games, but we also use it for pep rallies, for signing ceremonies. It's tremendously versatile, and their customer service is just outstanding. Go to sidelineinteractive.com and check out their products today. Schedule a live web demo. That's sidelineinteractive.com. We also want to thank Hometown Ticketing, the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. Go to hometownticketing.com. They're going to show you how to sell your tickets online, not just for athletic events, but for things like school dances, school plays, concerts, even graduation. They'll show you how to set up, scan your attendees, collect your revenue, and every step of the way, Hometown's going to provide you with a dedicated client success manager that's providing hands-on support. That's every step of the way. Go to hometownticketing.com today. Simple and easy online ticketing. We also want to thank Huddle. Go to huddle.com and change the way you see the game. Huddle is going to provide your coaches, your teams, and your athletes the tools that they need to play at the highest level. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years, but as an athletic director, I made sure our school was a Huddle school. Go to huddle.com. We believe in sports and teams believe in Huddle. Join the 6 million users and turn your school into a Huddle school. We also want to say thanks to Final Forms. Final Forms is going to help prepare you for your best seasons ever. Final Forms is going to help your stakeholders with things like reminders about policy, school policy, about physical expiration dates. Final Forms can help your coaches with attendance and communication. And for you as an athletic director, Final Forms can help you with eligibility and rosters and all the reports that come across your desk. You know, it's time that you talk to a team that gets it. Go to finalforms.com/Jake and get started with Final Forms. And we also want to thank Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack for sponsoring the AD Toolbox segment of our podcast. Athletic surveys are a quick, easy, and affordable way for you to collect comprehensive data that allows you to evaluate and improve your entire program. Athletic directors typically only hear from that 2%, the disgruntled parent or maybe a frustrated student athlete. And we need to hear from that 2%. But we also need to hear from the 98% that really love and support our program. And that's where Athletic Surveys comes in. They can create a custom survey for your school, for your department, and give you the feedback that's going to help take your program from good to great. Go to athleticsurveys.com and get started today. That's athleticsurveys.com. Welcome back, everyone, to our All-Star AD series. This is a program where we have 10 great women athletic directors who share their views and their perspective on some of the challenges that all athletic directors have to work with. Our guest today is truly a good friend, Pam Cawley. She's a certified athletic administrator. She's the athletic director at Foundation Christian in Valrico, Florida. It's a little bit east of Tampa. I had the pleasure of meeting Pam a few years ago. I actually got to sit in and be the proctor of her CAA exam. Of course, she passed it with flying colors, and she does a great job for her school. And she's also helps out with FIAAA. So Pam Cawley, welcome to All-Star AD.
Thank you, Jake. I'm glad to be here today.
Well, I know it's springtime, the busiest time of the year for an athletic director, that transition from winter to spring. So let's go and jump right into it. What do you have for our listeners today on All-Star AD?
I wanted to take a couple minutes to talk about coaching your coaches. This is something that I've been working on every year. That's a professional development goal of mine, is how to better coach my coaches. That's what we're here for, right? It's our job is, there's a lot of aspects of our jobs, but really it's to be there for our coaches and to coach them into what we want them to be, to better fit the athletic program and the goals and the vision that you have for your own program. The first note that I have is to be the example. How do you want your coaches to coach? That's how you coach your coaches. It's going to reflect and it's going to trickle down through the whole department. It's really, what are you wanting your program to look like? How do you want your coaches to interact with your athletes? That's the same way you should be interacting with them. If you're, here at Foundation Christian, we're really a huge family. We are super kind with each other, forgiving of each other. And that relationship, that how it looks with my coaches is the same way that the coaches are with their athletes. And every program is going to look different. It depends on what's important to you as an athletic director and what you want your program to look like. But here at Foundation Christian, that's what we care about, is about it being like a family. We hold each other accountable and we hold each other to a high standard. I never talk down to my coaches because they're people. They are professional at what they do, right? They're really good coaches. They all bring something great to the table. So even if there's something that we're struggling with together, it's important that, I don't ever talk down to them, because that's not the relationship I want them to have with their athletes. If a coach is speaking with an athlete, I don't want to see it look that way. I don't want to see it like they're talking down to their athletes. They should always be holding them accountable, holding them to a high standard, but in a loving way, right? I, for sure, never, ever hold my authority of being the AD over their head. That's not what it's about. When you're the coach, you aren't ever barking at your athletes, oh, I'm the coach, you need to listen to me. That doesn't set up a great relationship. It's the same way AD to coach. You want to make sure that you're having a healthy relationship and that they respect your authority because they respect you as a person, not so much that they're afraid. They're afraid of your authority, or they're afraid of what you're going to do or what you're going to say. A lot of times with my coaches, we discuss certain things. I have to explain why things are the way that they are, which gives them a lot of insight into my job duties. Because too many times, as ADs, we get really busy, right? So we just sometimes have to spout out, no, sorry, it has to be this way, or yes, I have to, this or that. And you're spouting out real quick answers to their questions without taking the time to explain it to them. They're not going to always understand. They may jump to their own conclusions. Well, she said, or he said, I can't do this because whatever. And they're totally not on the right track with you. So if you take the time to give them, to explain why, it's going to give them a lot of insight into your job duties and why you approach certain topics. An example of this, just the other day, I was talking to a coach that was like, hey, I want to carpool it for some games instead of taking the bus. I was like, okay, I understand where you're coming from and why you want to carpool instead of taking a bus, because at our school we can do carpool. So, however, if you take that to the parents, this is what they're going to see. They're going to see, well, our team doesn't get the bus as often as this team. We always have to carpool. We don't have the budget. They're going to come up with their own ideas on their own, which are totally not true. And so when I explain that to the coach, it's not really the best idea to carpool instead of take the bus because your parents are going to jump to this conclusion. He was like, you know what, you're right. Okay, so let's do the bus. Let's not do the carpool. Even though, he wanted to do it that way. And so instead of me just saying, nope, you have to take the bus. When I explained it, it took 2 minutes of my time to explain it to him. Then he understood, and he understood why. And that's super important. So it wasn't me just authoritatively just saying, this is the way it has to be. So taking the time to explain it, because you want your coaches to do the same thing to the athletes. You want them to take the time to explain skills, explain why they aren't a starter, explain why they were benched for an entire game, not just, because I'm the coach and I said it has to be this way. So if you take the time with your coaches to walk through things, it'll trickle down, and you'll see that same relationship with them as well. Definitely have policies and procedures and stick to them. I know we want to do the best for our athletes. We want to do the best for our coaches. We want to be there for them. We want to help them out in every way that we can. But it's so important to have your policies, so important to have your procedures already set in place. So when something comes up, you know what to do. It's not like, oh, I've never had this situation before. I don't know what to do with it. Because you already have it lined out. You already have, this is our policy for our school, and this is why. This is the procedure. This is the way that we do things, and this is why. Stick to them. Stick to your policies and procedures. If you waver for one coach or one team, then it's going to trickle through. However, don't be afraid to dig deeper into your policies and into your procedures and make adjustments when necessary. There's a lot of times I sit down with our other administrators. I sit down with all the coaches, and we look at our policies and we look at our procedures, and I get their insight. Doesn't mean that it's going to change all the time, but is there something that might need to be changed? And that's okay. To not be so afraid that this is the way it's been written down, so it has to stay this way. You know what? Maybe next year we change this policy, we change this procedure for the better. And this is how it's going to make our program a little bit better. A huge thing is, as you're coaching your coaches, and as you're kind of creating this culture, is to show support of your administration. It can't be an us versus them thing with your administrators, because your coaches are watching you. The coaches are watching how you speak about your administrators, how you interact with your administrators. And just like your relationship with your coach is mirrored in their relationship with their athlete, it's the same way that your relationship with your administrator is that way too. They're going to see that. They're going to see the way that you speak about them, the way that you speak to them. If you aren't showing proper respect or supporting your superior, then the coaches are going to pick up on that. And it just kind of creates this friction. It creates this kind of negative atmosphere, and that's going to trickle down. You know, if the AD doesn't support what the administrator says, and that's their superior, do I need to support my superior? And then do the athletes need to support their superior? So even in times that you don't agree with your administration, it's good to just support them through it. Just smile and pretend like it's all right, but not to grumble and complain with your coaches, because that's not setting up a healthy atmosphere at all. Meet with your coaches regularly, both formally and informally. You know, have your beginning of season, middle of season, end of season formal discussions where you sit down, you're taking notes, but also informally, just pop into practice when they first walk in to the gym, when they first walk onto the field. Just be there to greet them, say, hey, how's it going? What can I do for you? Is there anything you need? You know, how did that parent meeting go the other day? How's this player doing? You know, just showing that you're there. It really goes a long way, because then they know that you value them and that you value their program. End of season surveys. Oh man, I didn't do this my first couple of years, and since I've started doing end of season surveys, it has made a world of a difference. It's just more data. It's nothing to be afraid of. I know some people are really afraid of surveys and having those raw opinions right there. But oh my goodness, there's so much information that you can get from them. So we do a lot of surveys at our school. Our families survey our teachers, they survey our administrators. So it just goes in with what we're already doing here at the school. But our coaches survey me and the administration. And on the survey, they rate things. They rate, you know, how they feel supported. They rate, you know, if they felt like they were prepared for the season or not. What can I do to help them feel better prepared? What can the administration do to better support them? There's, you know, some questions where they're rating things, some questions where they're entering in comments. And this is a great place. This is where, in order for them to fill out their survey, I put on at the very bottom their equipment wants and needs. So in order for them to request equipment for the new year, they have to complete their survey. And then if there's information in the survey, you know, at the end of the year, they fill in their survey, and then I sit down with them and we talk and we go through these things. So has been great. And then I also have the parents survey the coaches. So when we do sit down at the end of their season, we talk about that survey. And it's just data. You know, that's not the whole platform that you base your opinions on for your coach, but it's just, hey, this is what some of the parents are saying. Some of the good, some of the bad. How can you improve? Do your students feel safe? Or do they feel like they've improved their skills? And again, doing where they're rating things, where they're entering comments, and have the parents survey you in that survey as well. You know, who's the athletic director, a good communicator, you know, whatever it is that you're wanting to get information from those parents so that you can become a better athletic director, so you can help your coaches. Right. And then at the end of the season, we discuss those as well when we sit down with our survey, where the coaches survey me and the parents survey the coaches. We sit down with all that information and we go through it together. And it doesn't take that much time. Once you set it up to begin with, then you just push it out each season. And so, it's great. And then we sit down, you have a 15-minute conversation with the coach, and they feel like they were heard. And that's super important. Giving them tools to learn. Oh my goodness, NFHS has so many great courses. Just send those out. I send them the link directly. through email and through GroupMe, so that they have them and they can get in on them. And then I reference them later on so they know that I've read it and I've looked at it and I've taken those courses as well. But NFHS Learn is a great place they have sports specific courses, but then they have these general courses. Like all my coaches take a conditioning course in order to bring their teams into the weight room. And it's great. It's just good stuff. Professional development is an amazing thing. And when your coaches see you liking and enjoying, the professional development or just doing the professional development as the example, then they're going to do it too. And especially if you're asking them questions about it. And then get their buy-in on these ideas that you have. This was going back to when, talking about not talking down to them, not being authoritative. Just recently I was presented with, from my administrator, he's like, hey, you need to fix this class. It's not going in the direction I want it. If we don't fix it, we're going to have to take it off the schedule for next year. And I was like, oh no, if I go up to my coaches and I say that, they are going to get stiff-necked and they're going to get upset. So I had to turn it around and get their buy-in. I did that by saying, guys, we have a great opportunity, right? We have a great opportunity through this class, and this is what it needs to look like. How can we do that? So a lot of times asking them questions is going to get their buy-in on something. So instead of just forcing them, hey, you need to do this, no one really likes being told what to do, right? So as we coach our coaches, get their opinions, get their feedback, they have some great things, right? They love their sport. They love their athletes. They have ideas. So just ask them, say, hey, we have this opportunity, or, hey, we have kind of this problem. What's your opinion? What are some ideas that you have to make this better? So when you get their buy-in that way, it makes a world of a difference. It really does, because then they feel like they are part of it, and they're part of the program. It's not just you forcing out what to do. They were able to give and take, and be part of the program as a whole, and that can make a big difference.
Well, what a great lesson and I love the topic, coaching your coaches. So much goes into that. And you alluded to that when you first started out. Some of the things I wrote down, again, they were all great. The communication component, talking with your coaches and saying, this is why we do it, having that global perspective instead of, like as coaches, we all get those blinders on. We only think about our program. Being consistent as you apply your policies, from program to program. And then I think the underlying theme for me that I got was relationships. You are building relationships with your coaches, just like you want them to build relationships with their student athletes and with the parents. Great stuff. Pam, always a treat hanging out with you. If one of our listeners wanted to reach out and pick your brain a little bit more, what's the best way they can get a hold of you?
Sure. My email is the best way to get a hold of me. It's Cawley, CAWLEY, at foundationchristianacademy.org.
And again, that's Pam Cawley, certified athletic administrator, part of our all-star AD team. Pam, thanks so much for being on the program today, and all the best, as we said, with spring sports rolling out.
Thank you so much, Jake.
For our listeners, we do this every week, and we upload the Zoom recordings to the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel. We appreciate you listening. Come back next Thursday for another All-Star AD, and just about every day on the Educational AD Podcast. We'll see you next time. Before we go, we do want to give a shout out to our sponsors, Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack. Go to athleticsurveys.com. Start collecting that data of the 98% of your parents and kids that really love your program. Gipper, start creating custom content. It's all about branding these days. Go to Gipper.com, use our podcast code ADPOD10. You'll get 10% off. That's Gipper.com. SidelineInteractive.com for their indoor score tables and video boards. One of the best purchases I ever made as an AD. SidelineInteractive.com. We also want to thank Hometown Ticketing. Start selling your tickets for all your events online. Go to hometownticketing.com. Simple and easy online ticketing. If your school is not a huddle school, you need to find out why. Go to huddle.com. They're going to provide you and your coaches and your kids with the tools that you need to play at the highest level. Go to huddle.com, join the 6 million users, and turn your school into a huddle school. We also want to thank Snap Mobile. Go to snapraise.com. Check out their entire platform, including their fundraising platform. Does any other platform allow you to get your money before you do your fundraiser? I don't think so. Go to snapraise.com to get started. We also want to say thanks to Vital Signs Wall of Fame. Go to vitalsignswalloffame.com/Jake and check out all the products, but then mention the /Jake part and you'll get 5% off your purchase. vitalsignswalloffame.com. Bring your school's legacy to life. And finally, let's say thank you to Final Forms. Go to finalforms.com/Jake. Let them help you create a platform for your school to help your stakeholders, your coaches. No, by the way, you as an AD. That's finalforms.com/Jake. Thanks again for listening. We'll see you next time on the All-Star AD.